government, and they admit, we're smarter than you. We kept it secret for your own good. It is a kind, gentle authoritarianism, an oppressive system for your own good. We are going to create a global government control grid that controls all the resources, all the money. We are then going to create a carbon footprint because humans exhale carbon dioxide, and we are going to tax that. And we're going to have a one-world government that enforces a one-world, one-child policy, and we are going to phase out at least 80% of the world population as State Department Memorandum, declassified 1992, written 1973, State Department Memorandum 200, and it's double-coded, also as a CIA document. State Department Memorandum 200 states that they will use war, famine, and sterilization programs at that time to reach the goals that if third world countries want U.S. loans, half of their population must be reduced. So
Alex, hold on, I'm not to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but just a question on the theory of it, because why?
Not a theory.
Your feelings on it. If
no,
this,
all stated fact. I have all their gut. They think we're so dumb. This is admitted.
Hold on.
Out in plain view.
If this is what's happening, or if there's a world order, why would those who are in charge of it allow information to be passed so easily in this? Like when you look at what you could have done in 1975, Abu Ghraib was not even able to be kept a secret. There are really secrets are so easily exposed now. Why allow the system to progressively get more and more transparent, not by their doing, but simply by the way information is passed?
No, they've actually done That's a very astute point you made. There are psychological warfare studies from the 50s, the first ones I read by British intelligence that were declassified, and then you can read more modern versions in psychological treatises out there about learned helplessness, acclimation, to where now they just basically don't even care if I'm on the air throwing all this out. They know the average person is just going to think it's a conspiracy theory and not actually go read these government textbooks. Here's an example. In Montebello 2 years ago, it was in the Toronto Star that the police attacked their own police as a pretext to then attack the peaceful protesters to create a pretext in the future to just shut down protest altogether. Police admitted that the Pentagon sent in troops dressed as anarchists in '99 to attack police as a pretext to then demonize them on the news. Agent provocateurs. And now at the G20 in Pittsburgh and at the G20 in Toronto that was going on this week and last week, they actually have black vans pulling up. We have video of this up on Infowars.com. Black vans pulling up and grabbing protesters, peaceful protesters for no reason, men, women, you name it, children in some cases, and dragging them into black vans and driving away with them. And I discovered, going back to G20 meetings 3-4 years ago in different parts of the world, that it was staged. They were grabbing actors who were role players to scare everyone, and they would do it in front of news cameras to say, you may not just get arrested if you protest, you may disappear with plainclothes men grabbing you and putting you in vans.
Well,
and then the news says, oh my God, look, the government's kidnapping people. And then now, this year, they're actually doing it for real. So just like Jack Bauer tortures somebody's kid on 24 in front of their parents to get answers, and it turns out he's the good guy, they're reshaping us through Pavlovian conditioning, social conditioning, to accept that secret arrest, kidnapping, Abu Ghraib is good. They're releasing this on purpose. Bush came out 2 weeks ago and said, yeah, I ordered torture, and I'd do it again. Meanwhile, the people he ordered to do it went to prison. But it's all part of a conditioning process.
But why? My thing is, why allow the real information out? Because, like something like the Freedom of Information Act, that's such an if the world dominance or world order is the issue, why would you allow something like the Freedom of Information Act?
He'd probably argue that there's certain information they would want to get out.
Absolutely.
Now, let me break that down. Very good point there as well. Why do we have the National Security Act? Why do we have the FOIA Act? 1947. Almost everything the U.S. government does is out in the open. The British OSS founds the CIA out of Blue Bloods at Yale, Skull and Bones. That's mainline news and covered in the film The Good Shepherd that Robert De Niro made with Matt Damon. But if you watch that, I mean, what do you have? You have satanic rituals going on with the guys that founded the CIA. Well, that's actually true. Who is Skull and Bones? And I'm going to answer your question this way. Skull and Bones In 1832, and this is Encyclopedia Britannica, in 1832, British intelligence came in and made deals with some of the wealthiest people in the U.S. We just beaten the British, 40 years before or so. And they came in, and this has now been released. This is part of their annals, and said, we're going to take over Yale and Harvard and Princeton, and we're going to kind of merge the U.S. again back into the British Empire, but you'll share in the empire. And they made deals with the robber barons, and they said, we're going to finance you with Rothschild money, and we're going to finance the Rockefellers and others. This is when all this got started, and we're going to set up British intel through that's all a secret society was in that day and age, was a private intelligence agency, and they did it through elite colleges because that's where the elite families are. And so that's how we got the CIA after World War II out of British intelligence, OSS, and Skull and Bones founded the CIA. And Americans and the Congress said, you want unlimited power to rob banks, do whatever you have to worldwide to fund your operations. You want all this incredible power. Smedley Butler had just come out, the former Marine Corps, 2-time Congressional Medal.
Was that really his name?
Smedley Butler.
That sounds like a name somebody makes up to make up an awful name. That's a terrible
from a
name.
Cartoon, yeah.
All right, guys, sorry.
But, no, I mean, Smedley Butler, he's the most highly decorated Marine in U.S. history. But right. Smedley Butler came out and said, look, there's basically a foreign intelligence operation taking over the U.S. They tried to hire me to overthrow the United States. And they said, we don't care, Smedley. We're setting it up. And they tried to hire him to be part of this. They wanted to just have a complete coup. But Smedley blew the whistle, so they just said, look, we'll just have a national security state. And so Congress said, okay, but you got to have a FOIA request where 20 years later, things have to be released. And you notice now, it's 40-plus years after Kennedy, and now they've backed it up to permanent. First thing Obama did when he got in is he just said, forget it. It's supposed to be declassified. It's unlimited classification now. And so they do, and more they're denying FOIA requests. I put in 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years for my FBI file, my NSA file. By federal law, I'm supposed to get it. And they don't even respond. So I had a lawyer send letters, and they said, look, it's national security. We're not telling you what we got on Jones.
On you. National security.
Yeah, they will not give me my files.
See, the Kennedy assassination is one, too. Like, I was very, very big on the conspiracy. I believed it very thoroughly. I went to Dealey Plaza. I read a lot of the books on it. And then the more I would hear little things that would kind of go against conspiracies, which sounded like, ugh. And then I did a little bit more research, and I actually found a lot of the stuff that the conspiracy guys really sell just wasn't so. And it seems like they deny a lot of the things. Like, Bugliosi raised a good point in his book about how a fact that supports things just being the way we think they are is ignored by a lot of theorists, and an innuendo that appears to ruin the fact is taken as fact. And
I want to tell you a story. The person that was that ran the funeral home, and he's a very wealthy guy. He owns a bunch of funeral homes all over the state of Texas now. He was a young man at the time. The FBI came in, put black ink on Oswald's hand, and then put the black ink on the gun. I interviewed him. He actually showed up at a radio event for 5:90 a.m., a station I'm on. And it turned out to be him. It turned out to be the guy, famous guy. And he went further than ever. And he said, come to my house sometime this week, and I'll give you a full interview. And about 2 hours before I was there to interview him, he was riding with his wife in a wealthy area of Austin and got run off the road and has now been unable to talk to me because he got hurt so bad. You want to talk about hardcore. Number one, I'm a great shot with a rifle, born and raised in Texas. I've gone out in the field with that type of cruddy post-World War I rifle, and you can't hit the side of a barn with it. You can't barely even shoot it 3 times in 6 seconds, even though 1 round's already chambered, much less aim the thing. And hundreds of witnesses saw plumes of smoke and men behind the knoll, and the railroad operator who was 50 yards away in the railroad tower, who they killed 2 days later when he went public. He saw the men shooting. He saw them in the green pickup truck. They were running around killing people left and right. My family's from Dallas. My family, it's just incredible. I had family who were cops in Dallas. I've interviewed Fort Worth Star-Telegram reporters who were friends with Ruby and drank at his topless bar.
Well, the guy. Let me say the shot. Now again, you say that it's an impossible shot to make, and I'd heard that there was, I think, a specialist. I don't want to say his name wrong. I think his name was Miller, who not only reenacted the
they have Discovery Channel puff pieces
the
where
shooting.
all the facts are wrong and where the guns were and
but
on and on and on.
But I'm saying I've heard that shot had been